President Xi Jinping later this month. Well, joining us now is NATO and international affairs expert Tommy Steiner, with more information on this. Tommy, given the recent history of deadly clashes and border shutdowns, how significant is this move to resume border trade in the broader context of India-China relations?
First of all, it is an important development in its own right because over the past few years, tensions and skirmishes, well, non-kinetic one at least, have occurred between India and China. And the overall situation in South Asia, in the South Asian triangle between Pakistan, India, and China have been troublesome. And this also comes at the backdrop of a U.S. attempt to improve relations with Pakistan, which has not gone down well in New Delhi. So there is some sort of attempt to recalibrate. But having said that, I wouldn't stress this as a new, a new horizon on China-India relations, because the tensions, the mutual, not hostility, but mistrust runs very, very deep between New Delhi and Beijing. And although they have a mutual partner, that is Russia, having said that, it is still not the beginning of a new age in China-India relations. It is more perhaps of India using this opportunity to make a signal the U.S. that it should rethink or recalibrate once again its positions vis-a-vis New Delhi.
What do you think is driving Beijing's outreach to New Delhi right now? Is this more about geopolitics, economics, or both?
Well, I think it's geopolitics. Chinese diplomacy is very accustomed to try and seek where it can find new openings for, driving wedges between the United States and its international partners and allies, be it like in Europe, or be it for that matter, India. And just as I'm sure that China wasn't very happy to see the American attempt to warm relations with Pakistan, similarly, it's also trying to signal that it actually wants to reach out to India. So it's a complex, but we sometimes are accustomed to think in terms of in binary terms, friends, no friends. It is far more complicated in these kinds of relationships. There is, on one hand, China and India have a certain baggage, a certain history of problematic relations, but on the other hand, they do have shared interest and they do have now an interest in making sure that tensions do not escalate once again.
If trade does resume, could this be a stepping stone to deeper cooperation, or are these steps just too small to make a real dent in the mistrust that exists between the two countries?
It is, let me put it this way. First of all, it's hard to tell. I don't see much hope or promise in flourishing relations between Beijing and New Delhi. I don't think that is the case. Considering the fact that when each time I speak to Indian colleagues and friends, I hear how they are critiquing Israel for its relations with China, I don't really see an opening there towards China. And just the same way, I don't see China all of a sudden opening up and wishing to really embrace India. And I hear the same complaints from the Chinese side about the Indians and what Israel might or not be doing with India against terrorists that are also working in Pakistan against Chinese interests. It's simply not there.
Right.
But there is an interest in more stable relations between China and India that is clear.
Right.
And if both sides can make something out of it, why not?
All right. I'd like to thank you so much for joining us, Tommy Steiner.
Thank you for having me.
We're turning now to Cyprus. And Cyprus